Good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Indiana Sports Now with Kent Sterling. It's Monday, March 29th, 2021. We're brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Dr. Mike O'Neill, the best dentist that there is. He's been my only dentist for the last 27 years. You know why? Because he's the best. And when I find the best, I hold on to the best. I hire the best. It's what I do. It's what you should do. Give him a call, 317-849-2933. Hit subscribe, hit like, ring the bell. Do all that stuff. Let's talk about sports. Mike Woodson was introduced to the media today via Zoom. This was really interesting. All the things that happened the last two times a head coach was named, back in 2008 when it was Tom Crean, 2017 when it was Archie Miller. This was entirely different. The absolute opposite. There was no pomp, no circumstance, no marching bands, no fight song, no video, no hype, nothing. It was just Scott Dolson saying, here's our guy, Mike Woodson, and Mike Woodson kind of explaining stuff for a while in a very, very low-key but honest way. I like low-key but honest. I like coaches that sit or just stand kind of with their arms crossed. That's cool to me. This guy, the guy who crouches, the guy who poses, that stuff, I have no time for that. I want reality in a coach. That's what I want. And that, for an hour, is exactly what we got from Scott Dolson and Mike Woodson. There is nothing within that hour that lends itself to being shared on TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook or nothing, man. I'm telling you, low key but honest. If that works, Indiana is going to start rolling and wins are going to come by the pailful. That's what's going to happen at Indiana if that works. Mike Woodson's a really good coach. So we talked to Mike Woodson. We talked to Scott Dolson. Here's what Mike Woodson had to say about the initial interview and how it came about.
I know he had called me and said he wanted to speak with me, and he wanted to do a Zoom. And I told him, I said, if you're interested in Mike Woodson, either I get on a plane or you get on a plane and you come see me. And he said, I'll be there tomorrow morning, the next day. So it was, I thought, a great interview in terms of getting to know one another. Didn't know if I was going to get the job, but I felt good about my position and what I had presented in terms of helping to move the needle here at Indiana University. So, Scott, I thank you for making that trip to see me.
Mike Woodson was also asked, is this the first time that this job kind of popped up on his radar?
You know, when I was doing my thing in the NBA as a head coach, I think the timing when the jobs opened up here were not in my favor because I had a job, and I never really tried to pursue it but one time, and I didn't get the job, and so I went on back to my NBA world, and that's where I remained until yesterday, and when Jim Dolan gave me the opportunity to get on a plane and come here for the job.
One of the things unique to Mike Woodson is that he's 63 years old and he's never coached a minute of college basketball. So he was asked if that presents unique challenges.
Basketball to me is basketball. Sure, I've never coached in college, but I like to think that I've coached at the highest level. And I've coached some of the greatest players that's ever graced the basketball world. The NBA family is a beautiful thing, guys. I mean, and I've been fortunate enough to be a part of that for 30 plus years. So, yes, there are going to be some challenges, you know, me coming back here to coach this great university and this basketball team. But at the end of the day, coaching is coaching. You know, I got to get players, go out and recruit quality student athletes that can come in here and help this program move in the right direction. And I got to groom these young men to be men on and off the floor. That's what it's all about. Somebody took a chance, like I said earlier, on me, and I turned out just fine. So there will be challenges, but I'm going to try to surround myself with people that can help me navigate some of the challenges. But at the end of the day, I got to put a product on the floor that Hoosier fans will love.
And it's got 6 kids who have already entered their names in the NCAA transfer portal. What priority is it for Mike Woodson to get those kids to recommit to Indiana University?
You know, we have a few players that have entered the portal, players that I think can help us win basketball games next season. So my first job is to sit down with each one of them and talk about staying in Hoosier Nation. You know, that's what's important, you know. And if I got to plead and beg a little bit to keep them here, I'm going to do that. But again, they got to make the final decision on what they want to do. But there's no better place in the country to play basketball, I think. And that's what I'm going to relay to them. I'm going to let them know that I'm in their corner, that we're family. I'm going to always have an open door policy where they can come in and talk to Coach Woodson. You know, I've never strayed away from that over the years. There's a lot that I have to do once I leave this press conference in terms of sitting down with each individual player and having a powwow with them and see where their heart is.
People always want to know about the offensive and defensive systems, so we asked Mike Woodson what those would be.
I think I can bring a system in that, from a defensive standpoint, where, you know, we can recruit players that are capable of playing 3 or 4 positions. That's kind of how I did it in the pros. Players that, if you did switch defensively, you felt good about them. That player guarding the ball, and players that are committed to rebounding the basketball. I think when you build a defensive system, if everybody's connected together and work hard to defend not only the ball, but when there's a breakdown, and rebound the basketball as a unit, you put yourselves in position to win basketball games, a la New York Knicks. Offensively, the 3-ball has changed the game. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, we got to recruit players that can shoot the ball and pass and dribble and be able to make plays for one another. And in doing that, I think I can create an offense that everybody touches the basketball, and if you can shoot the basketball, then you expect it to shoot it and make shots. If you can't shoot it, then you got to do other things to help us win basketball games.
You know, not a lot of people were in the room, so the lack of energy is kind of understandable. Maybe if this had been on the floor of Assembly Hall, there would have been some more energy. I don't think so, though. I think this is just the way Scott Dolson and Mike Woodson roll. We talked to Scott Dolson. Scott Dolson was the other guy who answered some questions, and one of those questions surrounded the role that current players had on the hire of Mike Woodson.
I've had 2 Zoom meetings in the last 2 weeks with the full team and several one-off conversations, and really they helped me in this process and give me ideas of characteristics that were important to them. And I give Archie Miller a ton of credit in terms of the quality of young men we have, the character, and just who's in that locker room. And I just wanted our current players to know how much I appreciate that.
We also asked Scott Dolson how the hire of Thad Matta came to be. Where'd that idea come from?
Thad and I'm 2 years older than Thad, but we're both products of the 1976 team. He grew up an incredible fan. In fact, Scott Eels, a player on that team, was from, I would say, Hoopston, Illinois, that Thad grew up following Scott Eels and followed Indiana basketball. He was at the game when Scott May broke his arm in 1975. And so in my mind, I started thinking about this team, and it really based on what Woody was asking me for and what he needed. And then knowing in my conversation with Thad, his basketball mind, his knowledge of the business speaks for itself. I just started formulating this plan again, and the next step is assistant coaches and so forth and so on. But for us to do the things that we want to do for the vision, it's all about picking the right leader. It's kind of what I've said before about Tom Allen, or I'll say it about Terry Morin or Todd Yeagley, but it all starts and stops with the head coach. And clearly Mike Woodson is the leader we need. But it's imperative on me to surround the head coach with the resources to make things happen and to achieve our vision. And Thad, to me, was an absolute perfect fit. And everything I said about Mike from a person, in terms of the type of person he is, all the people I talked to across college basketball, across the NBA, it's just so interesting to me. Even though their paths had crossed, they knew of each other, obviously. The same qualities in Mike that appealed to me, the exact same qualities in Thad in terms of the type of person he is, the type of selfless leader, and a person that I could partner with. And again, knowing my responsibilities in the department, have an administrator that can help me with this vision for Indiana basketball.
So there you go, the greatest hits from today's media availability with Mike Woodson and Scott Dolson. I think Mike Woodson is a really good hire. If for no other reason, he's exactly the opposite of what Indiana's had the last 3 times they've gone about filling that position. He's quiet, he's low-key, he just does his job, he tells people the truth, there's no salesmanship to him, there's no cheating to him, there's no insecurity to him. Mike Woodson, so Dolson calls Woodson and says, hey, I want to talk to you, let's schedule a Zoom. Mike Woodson said, you want to talk to me? You're going to fly out or I'm going to fly in. It's one or the other. Let's go. There's a guy who's pretty damn secure in his own skin. He's going to tell the truth to recruits and their families, and that is going to put him in direct opposition with a lot of people who do that for a living. He's going to have to hire recruiting guys because he doesn't want to do all that's required at the age of 63. But I think when he comes in to lay out what being an Indiana basketball player is and what it means and what it could mean, I think it's going to be huge for the kids. I think it's going to be huge for the families. Parents are going to love Mike Woodson in the room. So there you go. Other news, the Colts, they signed Julien Davenport. He's a swing tackle. He played for the Texans. He played for the Dolphins. He's a guy who's going to, raise the level of competition for backup tackle and maybe for starting tackle. He's going to give the Colts another option at that position. Indiana, Arizona tonight. The women's team, they're trying to earn a berth in the Final Four. They beat NC State on Saturday night. Now they got a chance to go to the Final Four against Arizona. That game on ESPN starting at 9 o'clock. I cannot wait. I think Terry Morin has done an absolutely stunning job of getting a team to buy into communicating together on the defensive end of the floor. They're so much fun to watch play defense, and they're so like that. And I think a lot of that has to do with Allie Patberg. I think she's a great communicator. She never stops talking. She never stops expressing herself. I think she's terrific. All kinds of fun to watch. Make it appointment viewing. I know the guys are playing in the Elite Eight. This is going to be fascinating tonight with Indiana and Arizona. One thing that I want to mention, I laid waste to a guy on this channel. He's gone. He ain't going to be here anymore. And that's the way it is. People disagreeing with me, I do not mind at all. In fact, I encourage it. I like having meaningful conversations, constructive conversations. And if you're going to insult somebody, be funny about it. If the insults are funny, they stay. If the insults are just idiotic, you got to go. This guy's got to go. Some kind of tether to Arkansas, so that's the way it is. And so he's gone. I do not delete, nor do I edit comments unless they really go against the fabric of what we're trying to do here, and that's build a community where you can share your thoughts without any fear of people going haywire like they do on Twitter. I don't like that. I don't like flaming, so we do not allow it. And if you're going to come at me strong, that's fine. Come at me funny, that's fine. But don't just like hammer away like you're going to ruin my day because bing, bang, bong, you're gone. And it's just that easy. Tomorrow morning, Breakfast with Kent. Can't wait to talk to you then. Bright and early, 6 o'clock on Facebook Live. Immediately thereafter on YouTube. Again, hit subscribe, hit like, ring the bell. Let's go. Indiana, big day today for IU.